Free throws have been crucial to a team's success. You may have heard a coach or a former player saying that if you can shoot free throws well, you can do well. Free throws are awarded, for those that don't know, after every foul or infringement that may occur on the basketball court. The fouls are usually shooting fouls when a player is in his shooting form and is fouled. Free throws are a great way to give your team free points because, as you can see in the video, one simply stamps on a line, goes up with the ball, and takes a shot uncontested. NBA players average around a 75% free throw average. Let's take a look at some of the best free throw averages. The player with the best average in NBA history is none other than a man by the name of Steph Curry. For those who don't know, Steph Curry is a point guard on the Golden State Warriors and has been the MVP of the league and MVP of their finals. Steph Curry, coming out of Davidson, was an amazing three-point shooter, and he still carries that trait, winning multiple three-point contests and being believed to be the best shooter in the NBA. However, which is unknown by most basketball enthusiasts, is that Steph Curry's free throw average is 90.5%. Think about this. From that line that you can see in the video right here, he makes almost 9 out of 10 of his free throws without a miss. The next best player has a 90.43% average, and that was Steve Nash. Now, as you can see, Steph Curry values free throws, and as he said in multiple articles, free throws are vital to his game, as often he is fouled being a point guard. Now let's look at the worst free throw average. While not being the worst ever free throw shooter, a notoriously bad free throw shooter by the name of Shaquille O'Neal, who played at the Lakers with Kobe Bryant, is one of the worst free throw shooters. His free throw average is 52.7%. Here's a video of him taking a free throw. As you can see, while Shaquille O'Neal wasn't gifted in the free throw category, he was an All-Star and a Hall of Famer. While a free throw seems like a pretty easy enough shot, there have been multiple unique styles of shooting a free throw. The first one consists of Rich Berry, a basketball player who shot the ball in a granny form, as you can see right here.
Great throw and the play-up experience Rick Barry had. He realized as he had his hand was reaching in there and just went up for the shot and created the foul. And he doesn't miss many foul shots.
In the regular season, Rick Barry averaged 21.8 points a game. Here in the playoffs against Detroit and now Los Angeles, he is averaging 30.6. He is hitting 47% from the field, an increase over his regular season 44%.
Another notoriously bad free throw shooter, well, shooting form, that is Shawn Marion, who actually shot 75.7% as his average. His form, as you'll see in the next video, was ugly to say the least, and it's almost like a delayed shot, like he's trying to fake you out before he shoots. But let's take a look at his free throw. Enough about basketball history, and on to the physics side of it. Fundamentally, a free throw is shot on a 10-foot high hoop, as shown here. The free throw line is approximately 15 feet away from the back of the backboard, and about 10 from the front of the rim. The goal is obviously to stay behind the line without crossing it, and to shoot the ball in. The defenders that you can see on the inside of the perimeter of the out on the perimeter of the rectangle are defenders waiting to rebound the ball if he misses. I am now going to do an experiment at my house, and I'll meet you guys there. So for my physics project, I am doing the art and the physics behind a free throw. What I'm going to be doing is measuring out my basketball hoop to determine its size, measuring 15 feet out from the back of the backboard, which is the standard regulation length for the free throw line. And then I'm going to be determining the velocity and the angle that allows for the most success. Let's get into it. Okay, so for my first step, I'm going to be measuring using a tape measure and measuring my hoop from the rim down and making sure it's approximately about 10 feet. That's the regulation height. I'm using the ladder that you can see in the background right here. I'm going to measure. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I just measured it down. Let's go check the reading on the tape measure. And as you can see 9 feet right there, and 11 inches. I'm accounting for the measure, the tape measure. That's, so it's approximately 10 feet. As you can see on the back here also, gives you a good dial. Things right below the 10-foot line. For the next step, I'm going to be measuring from the top of the backboard down to make sure I'm on an even plane, and then measure that out 15 feet and mark it with a line straight from the center of the rim, because that is where the free throw line is. So let's get into it. Okay, so as you see, I marked it from the top and put it right on the bottom where the tape measure is. From there, I marked 15 feet. As you can see down at the end, I ended at 15 feet there. This is the beginning. And from this range, I'm going to see it from afar, from right at the end is where the free throw range is. So let's get into the shooting. For a quick note, the ball that I'm using is a standardized NBA basketball. It's approximately 570 grams, which is about 0.57 kilograms. As you can see, my setup, you got the 15 feet right here between, and I have a string going across representing my line, and there's the 10-foot basket. Let's get into the shots. Here is a slow motion video of me taking a free throw. Let's watch it. So as you can notice, you can see that I'm making a form right here, an angle. I'm bending my knees also at an angle and pushing up, applying force on the ball, which we know it's accelerating because it's going from a stopping to having a velocity. So we know it's acceleration, and the goal is to determine what that velocity is. We know the mass of the ball and we know the distance, which is 15 feet, and from that we should be able to determine what the velocity is, and also what the preferential angle it is for making a free throw. And I will put a protractor up next. The use of an online protractor, you can see that my arm is bent at the 90-degree angle, and you can see when my arm extends right here, it's about at the 140-degree level. But of course that's flipped because you need to flip the protractor, but I can't do it with this online tool, so I'll simply subtract 180 and subtract that from our measurement that we got, which is around 140, which means that my arm is approximately bent at 40 degrees angle right here. Let's take a look at another one of my shots that I conducted. As you can see, it's filmed on the left-hand side. I'm left-handed, and you can see a better visual of the angle that I make, which is probably different for every shot, but hopefully around a ballpark estimate. As you can see, I push off the ground, provide force to the ball, and in basketball you get the trajectory of the ball, which you hope is trajected for inside the hoop. So now let's compare this on a protractor and see how it compares with our previous estimate of 40 degrees. Let's see, after using the online protractor and lining it up perfectly so that the 90-degree angle is over top of my shooting hand, and you can see my elbow bent, and that angle is actually at, as you can see, it's between 50 degrees and 40, 50 degrees and 40 degrees, which is right around where my previous shot was. So in conclusion, about the degrees of my shot, it's pretty consistent that it's around 40 to 50 degrees is the sweet spot. If you can bend your arms and fling up at about 40 to 50 degrees, I think you can be successful. Of course, that all depends on the force that you have to push up and the force that you exert, but we are going to explore that next. For determining the velocity, I'm going to use the formula distance over time equals velocity. We already know the distance to the rim, which is approximately, I believe, 15 feet to the backboard, and about 12.5 feet to the rim. So I have to calculate the time, and by doing this, I slowed the video down, and I'm going to time it once when it starts, and we shall determine what the time will be. Okay, and it's after it leaves my hand and after it makes contact with the rim. So let's see, starts right there. So now I calculated the speed. It was approximately 8 seconds, but that's in slow motion. So slow motion always runs 10 times slower on the iPhone, so you can simply divide that 8 seconds over 10 to get your answer, which is 0.8 seconds is how long it took for the ball to hit the rim. And let's get into the calculation. Now on to solving for velocity. So I know the distance is 15 feet, but I will convert that to meters, which is approximately, using my calculator, 4.572 meters. I know the time, 0.8 seconds, so therefore if I divide the 4.572 meters over the 0.8 seconds, I should get my velocity. And I found that the velocity of the basketball in my free throw shot was 5.715 meters per second. Therefore, knowing the velocity and already knowing the time, we can easily solve for acceleration, which the formula is v over t equals a, or the change in velocity over time equals the acceleration. Therefore, if we take the velocity we found, which is 5.715, and if we would have an initial velocity, we would subtract it there, but since it's 0, we have 5.715 divided by the time, which is 0.8, to give us an acceleration of 7.14375 meters per second squared. Thank you. Therefore, given the acceleration, we can find the force using F equals ma formula. From before, we knew that the mass of the basketball was 570 grams, or 0.57 kilograms. Therefore, we multiply that by the acceleration that we found, which was 7.14. If we multiply those two together, we get a total force that I applied on the basketball of 4.07 newtons. When taking a free throw, know that it's not all about the physics and math. While it's cool to understand it, practice makes perfect. And hey, even the pros mess up sometimes. Taking a free throw is not an art. It is simply a skill acquired through a lot of practice. The greats all practiced it. But by understanding, having a good launch angle, and having a good enough force to get the ball to the rim and not hit the rim too hard, you can understand how to better make free throws. As always, thank you for listening to the physics presentation. Thank you for a great year, class, and Mr. Lauer. I really enjoyed it. And stay safe.